don't know if anyone remembers. Please DM me if you do. Nima, who I always liked, posted a picture of MJ, Gigi, and Reza, but put a clown face on Reza and was like, congrats, Gigi and MJ on the show. And I know they had a beef. I think maybe Reza said something like, oh, he's not necessary for a reboot, like something like that. Which, like, and I liked Nima, but, like, I do get where Reza and MJ grew up together, and Gigi's a little bit younger, but was also, like, in the mix. Like, their families are friends. It's different.
Right.
And Mike was in that mix, too, but unfortunately, Mike's an animal. Welcome to Cocktails and Gossip, the podcast where we drink cocktails, but you better believe we're going to spill the tea. We chat reality TV, celebrity blinds, and the hottest tea from BravoandCocktails.com. And as always, it's all alleged and just for fun. We do not verify our blinds. I'm B.
And I'm Amanda. Let's get into this week's tea.
What's up, cocktailers? We're so back, Amanda.
Oh my goodness. Not that we ever left, but geez, what a crazy week. A great week to be a cocktailer, of course. But there's really only one place to start because everything went nuts yesterday when Bravo announced ahead of next week's upfronts. So upfronts are when a network invites all their advertisers to come and they put on a show to be like, this is what our lineup's going to look like for next year, so that they can get the upfront commitment from the advertisers for the year. That's what they call them, upfronts. But that's always when they announce their new shows and bring out their stars. So that's happening on Monday, but they announced yesterday that there are 4 new shows: Ladies of London, Wife Swap, Housewives Edition, The Shaw's Reboot, and The Real Housewives of Rhode Island, all of which we have been talking about here, posting about on Cocktail Party and on BravoandCocktails.com since 2022 in a couple of these cases. That was the first time we started talking about Rhode Island. So weeks like this, I think our job is, well, it's not really a job, our hobby is especially fun because we and all of the cocktailers get to say, told you.
And so this is something for us to keep in mind as we start getting intel about Chicago, right? Things don't happen overnight. So hold tight, bear with us. But I want to start with Ladies of London. I picked that one.
Okay.
I asked you guys in my stories on Insta what you're most excited about, and a lot of you guys threw it right back at me, and I'm like, I don't know. So I'm just starting with Ladies of London. As Amanda said, we've had London tea since 2022. We've received a lot of pretty reliable intel about different versions. They really, for years, have been trying to work out how to get a show based in London back on Bravo. At one point, we had an email, Lads of London, which I'll repost, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And maybe it's in production.
It could be. I would definitely watch that show, by the way.
Yes.
If you're listening, Bravo.
Yes. So
But then there was Gilded London.
Yeah, and we've had Ladies of London reboots, emails over the years. A London-based cocktailer actually sent us pictures of Daisy filming something, which I had forgotten about. So last week, we had Gilded London, an email, and right after the big announcement that we all saw in Variety about Bravo's lineup, we immediately get an email. Our email has been off the hook. God bless whoever sends us everything. We love you.
And by the way, we had somebody who was like sending us an email saying this isn't working. And then we're like, no, we can see it. I have to wonder if people were testing our ability to help get the tea out.
Right?
Because they knew it was coming. Who knows? Just a little conspiracy theory that there are for you guys.
Oh, wow. That's funny because it was the morning of.
Yeah.
You see, I didn't put that together. So
we work together on these things, guys.
It takes 2. It takes 3. We got to shout out Tracy, too.
As always.
And it takes all the cocktailers because God knows Amanda and I don't remember a lot, and you guys always remind us.
Yes.
So the email we got after the announcement was, we got a bunch, but the one that pertained to the London was Ladies of London was being rebooted under the working title Gilded London. So that anonymous submission was correct. but we are not trying to cast a younger group of people. I don't know who we is. A source told me that Dorinda, who anyone who follows Dorinda on socials knows that she was just in London, is going to appear. Now, I don't know exactly what this looks like. I have to imagine friend of a cameo. As I get info, I will first post it to Cocktail Party. I know a lot of you guys are like, can you make it all public? There's a variety of reasons why we don't. So if you've been thinking of checking out Cocktail Party, first month, $5, my treat, now's a good time because there's a lot of wild stuff in there.
There is.
I'm hearing maybe we'll see Carolyn Stanbury. I haven't confirmed that, but this is what we're hearing.
Would love that.
The press release with a new wave of British bloods, ambitious American expats, and glamorous international socialites. As tradition clashes with the fast-paced, globalized world, these power players redefine what it means to be a woman of status in one of the most iconic cities in the world. Here, connections are currency, and the crown isn't the only thing up for grabs. Amanda, your thoughts?
Okay, so I can't wait because OG Ladies of London, I think was probably, if not my favorite, definitely one of my favorite shows back in the day when it was on. And I'll have to see what you think about this, B, but like having studied abroad, like as an American, I always really looked up to Europeans and British. Like they just always seemed so much cooler.
Yes.
And so
Ryan actually studied in London in the Parliament. How cool is that?
Yes, your brother is super cool too, though. That makes sense. I always loved the whole like American versus Brits, like the Americans, like with all of the new stuff, the Brits are like the old guard.
Amanda,
even though some of the Americans,
we're
some of them were
generation, and not all of our listeners are, but certainly a lot of them are, of like William's my age, Harry's a little bit younger, like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I had a thought that I actually texted B about, guys, yesterday. What if Brynn from RHONY is going to be on that show or the Real Housewives of London? Because I still follow her on social media. She's back and forth to London a lot for work. She's an executive running this new dating app. I don't know. So
I did actually ask about that, a couple of sources, because there's this rumor, and we're going to dig into this rumor, but there's a rumor that a housewife will be making a switch. It's a vague rumor. It's been circulating for quite some time.
Right.
So my sources were all like, she went out with a weird bang. She's bad-mouthing Bravo on her podcast, which honestly I haven't listened to. I have heard some clips.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
So I don't know. I think it might be cool to see her, but I don't know if the fans have a bad taste in their mouth. And since we know this has been in production a long time, I don't know if she would have been on the radar, and like they're not going to all of a sudden swap her in, especially on the heels of what I want to call bad press for her.
Yeah. I don't know. The cool thing though is Ladies of London is a distinctly different show than what had already been announced as Real Housewives of London, which they're saying is going to air on Hey You, which is essentially, my understanding is it's Bravo in other countries.
Yes.
So I'm hoping we get to see, I'm hoping we get both.
So I've been told it's two completely different shows. I hope we get to see both too.
Yeah.
I just heard originally when we were all so excited about Real Housewives of London, I was told like, yeah, that's going to be on Hey You. Like maybe they'll put it on Peacock, but that's not, it may be a while. So this is definitely ours. Ladies of London is going to be ours. So I finally finished my RHONY rewatch. I hate to admit it. I did not watch the last two because I have such a bad taste in my mouth with Leah McSweeney, who I originally liked. And it bothers me how she turned on Bravo and etc. We've discussed it. But first thing that came to my mind, a couple of things. I want to do a Shaz rewatch, but I don't know that I could stomach Mike.
Yeah.
So
That's not imminent.
And then I was like, ooh, Ladies of London rewatch. Not even that it'll be the same cast, although I do think we'll see some faces, but just to get in the vibe.
I love that. That is one show that I do just have like on Peacock that I'll just go dip back into and watch because I liked the show so much. So we'll have to chat as you're watching it because especially the first season, because there were some different characters on different cast people on the first season. Anyway, we won't make this a rewatch.
I did start to rewatch a while back. And honestly, I watched it so long ago. It was almost like watching a new show. But then, of course, like big things would happen and you'd remember like the plot.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so let's move on to Real Housewives of Rhode Island because this one I get a lot of satisfaction from. I know you do too, because everyone and their brother thought you were absolutely insane.
Oh, Twitter tore me up.
I bet. So when all this news came out, I went back because I'm like, I remember we talked about this on the podcast a long time ago. And it was actually episode 6 from June of 2022.
Wild.
So, of course, Twitter and the naysayers were saying there would never be a Real Housewives show there. They said Rhode Island is too boring. Like you said, you got torn up on Twitter.
I don't need Twitter. And because it's just so crazy over there. But whenever I do, I have a million mentions and it's just always about how I'm wrong about stuff. So the only time I go on Twitter is when things come out and I post, yay, it was right again.
Booyah. Yeah. So, yeah. And I think you can share a little bit, but we've gotten we've gotten info on this and have been getting it for years from a lot of different sources.
So the thing is, and longtime listeners know, there's anonymous emails. Then once we post those anonymous emails, sources will reach out and be like, B, that's bullshit. Or, okay, this part of it is true. This doesn't sound right. Then there are eyewitnesses, right? People who live in Rhode Island. And so far, shout out to Rhode Island. You guys have been fantastic. And so when I have dozens of people DMing me, I know that something is being filmed. And that's where we're at currently with Chicago. But I want to stay on Rhode Island. But I'm just saying, so we knew something was being filmed. Does that mean that it's going to be greenlit? Like currently, I have pictures of the girls filming at a Cubs game, at restaurants. I know the production company is one that works with Bravo. It's the company that did Miami. But they also did Snowbirds, which didn't go anywhere. So, yes, something's happening in Chicago. Yes, I know who the girls are.
Yeah.
But
it could be for a different network.
Exactly.
These production companies aren't exclusive.
Right.
Yeah, it could be Hulu, which Hulu's doing a whole lot in the reality space. So, yeah, we also, and we've talked a little bit about this, that Housewives of Rhode Island, the whole idea is that it would be like a New Jersey with that kind of Italian-American family aspect, which we also talked about this and had that theory that if Rhode Island goes well, it might be bad news for New Jersey, meaning either even longer pause or perhaps something going the way of Dallas where they had a good run. So we will see. I think the fact that the women in Jersey could not get things to work, I think is probably something that made things a lot more difficult. And it was probably a lot more expensive because there were so many longer running people on there. So we got an email that also said it might just be better to start with a whole new city than do a reboot of the whole cast like RHONY, because RHONY hasn't done as well. Although you and I love the reboot, I think we were in the minority, unfortunately.
I think with RHONY, it was good. I think it wasn't great. And I also think that people grow on you. Like, we weren't obsessed with Ramona or Sonia out of the gate. It's always a slow burn, especially with Housewives. We become attached to them. And then when they're off our screens, we idolize them. And we're seeing that a little bit in Atlanta with Portia's return.
Yeah.
So around December 2024 is when the Rhode Island tea really started to firm up. we heard that there were people filming in Cranston, Rhode Island. And this was all around Christmas. So you're in Rhode Island. And the thing about Rhode Island that is very similar to Jersey is we're talking generations, deep roots, small towns, all near each other, a lot of Italians. Total side note, my grandfather on my mom's side, so my Italian side, met my grandmother while she was on vacation from Brooklyn to Rhode Island, met her. He was engaged, Amanda.
Ooh, scandal.
Off his engagement, moved from Providence, Rhode Island to Brooklyn. His area, very Italian, just like my grandmother's area in Brooklyn. And so every summer, my whole life, my grandfather had 4 siblings. So I had great aunts and uncles. I have cousins there. So I know Rhode Island very well. So I can very much see them sitting around the table at Christmas and being like, did you hear so-and-so's filming? Also, not only will the salaries be less, there are tax breaks to film in Rhode Island.
Cocktailers, I love Nutrafol because it's really helped me regain my hair confidence. I kind of lost my hair confidence there for a while after having some hair shedding issues. I also love it because, honestly, I'm kind of lazy, especially when it comes to adding more beauty treatments to my already busy day. And Nutrafol is easy. All I had to do is just take 4 of the Women's Balance pills daily with a meal. And a few months after I started, I had new baby hairs sprouting up all over my head. I've now been on Nutrafol for over a year, and I'm so happy to have my hair confidence back. You may have heard of Nutrafol's hair growth supplements and wondered, do they actually work? It's a fair question. Many hair supplements overpromise and underdeliver. But Nutrafol is different. As the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, it's trusted by over 1.5 million people, and it's clinically tested to deliver real results in just 3 to 6 months. While many supplements rely solely on ingredient studies, Nutrafol clinically tests its final formulations using advanced hair measurement tools like hair counts and pull tests to track real improvements in growth, quality, shedding, and texture. And it's not just backed by studies. Their research is published in peer-reviewed journals and vetted by doctors, ensuring scientific rigor and reliable results. Adding Nutrafol to your routine is easy. Just like I said, no prescription needed. Order it online with free shipping and automated deliveries. Subscribe to save up to 20% and enjoy perks like one-on-one naturopathic consults and a free Headspace membership to support your hair growth journey. This summer, stop worrying about your hair and start making memories. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code GOSSIP. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, and use promo code GOSSIP. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code GOSSIP.
This was something. So I have a source, and I mentioned this a couple times, they're very business minded. And they're always like, follow the money. So when I was posting about Rhode Island, they said to me, huge tax breaks to film in Rhode Island. So that made sense to us. And like the makeup artists there talk. They've been doing makeup and glam for the girls. Okay, and now I'm going to get to why I don't release the names. As we have rules. And one of the rules is that I don't, and Amanda doesn't, we don't out non-public personas. What I mean by that is, if a person's an anchor on a news network, I suppose you could. But if a person is a esthetician in Rhode Island and I see pictures of her and it looks like she's on the cast and she's on this dozen lists that different people have sent me, I know that she's filming. But on the off chance that she isn't, I've now brought my 170,000 followers and our 2 million clicks a month on Bravo and Cocktails to a private citizen's I don't know. I just don't feel right about
Yeah.
it. I think maybe some people would like the business, but I think a lot of people would be like, oh my God, like, why is this woman sending me? I have nothing to do with this. I just live in Cranston. There were 3 sister-in-laws and their names were really circulating. And then a couple of people were like, I heard the mother-in-law shut it down.
Yeah. And we know that things change even after they start filming, as we saw in the case of Lizzie Savetsky and New York.
Exactly. She actually was filming, so it was okay.
Yeah. Even after filming, things can change, which is, we didn't out her. It had already been confirmed that she was part of the cast. But I did see something today on one of these posts with who the unconfirmed people are. And one of the people is not, but I had not seen her on any of the lists that we've been given either. Ashley Iaconetti, who had been on The Bachelor. Do you know who she is? She's the one who has like the dark hair.
Yeah. So we had heard her name originally and also a Culpa sister originally. I don't have them on my most current list, which is exactly why they don't share.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, people who have been approached, if someone's going to share something with us, they're going to give us a name because number one, it gains traction. People are more likely to believe it. And we're going to post it if it's a public person.
Yeah.
But I don't.
And we get a lot of PR folks who are trying to really push their people to get onto the show, especially in Atlanta for some reason. Anyway, there's a few reasons, but I wanted to read what the press release says about Rhode Island.
Yes.
It says, the new installment of the beloved Real Housewives franchise, the Rhode Island women are described as a tight-knit circle of Rhode Islanders who have deep community roots and families that go back generations. With aspirational lives, thriving businesses, and tangled family dynamics, these decade-long friendships prove that in a state this small, there's no escaping your past or each other.
This is exciting.
It really does sound like early days of Jersey.
I am telling you, that was the thing for me. And maybe it's Salt Lake City as an example. I remember when they announced it, I didn't really see it because I have no point of reference for Salt Lake City. Now I see it, obviously, because it is so interesting. And the thing that I saw that interested me was all of the different religions. Remember how when it first came out, you had Mormons, and then you had Jen Shah, who was a Muslim, and then you had
Mary, who was
back there
for her own, yeah.
And then you had Meredith, who's Jewish. So I was like, that is going to be very interesting.
Right.
But the city itself, but see, with Rhode Island, knowing that they want that Jersey vibe and that people are so attracted to the cast that are intertwined, New York included, although they weren't family, they were so closely linked through their schools and everything like that, the original.
Yeah.
I know that's how Rhode Island is because I have family in Rhode Island. And I know that, like, my cousins' kids are friends with the people they grew up with. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's very Gorga, like Judy Chase. It's all like that. So this is only posted in Cocktail because it is a puzzle. It's based on rumors and facts.
Our favorite.
Let me explain. So the rumor that we know, not that we know, the rumor that we've all heard, that there will be a housewife we know on a new show. Okay? Here are my 2 contenders. We mentioned Brynn, Ladies of London. I don't feel it's that.
Okay.
That's Amanda. If that comes true, that's Amanda. That's on Amanda. Here are mine.
Okay.
Rhode Island. What about Dolores? Some of the girls on the new cast, because Dolores, especially after Traitors, Dolores is a Dorinda. She is a Luann. She's a company girl. You could put her in and she's going to thrive. People are going to come around her. She's a glue. The cast is Italian. Some of the cast are estheticians, injectors, makeup artists, hairstylists. There is certainly a way that Dolores can actually be connected to some of these girls just from that arena. And even if she's not, you could pop her in and have her get to know them and they can make it work. Does that look like her coming in the beginning, doing some cameos, being a friend of. I'm not saying Dolores is moving to Rhode Island. That's not what I'm saying. But I think there is a possibility she could appear. What are your thoughts on that?
So I was looking at some of the girls that are rumored to be on the show, and one of them looks exactly like Dolores, exactly like her. So that made me start to wonder, maybe she has family there. Just like you were saying, which, by the way, I think all of us are going to have more questions about your grandfather, but that's for a different day. I could see it. I don't know that it makes much sense to me unless she has family there. It feels like it would be trying too hard to make fetch happen.
Right.
Rhode Island isn't exactly close to Jersey.
And like the other possibility is that this rumor is bullshit and we're making our own storylines, which is something we like to do sometimes anyway. Okay, here's my second option if this rumor is true.
Okay.
Meredith Marks' caviar was in the Insta stories of one of the girls filming at the Cubs game as they partied in the suite this week. Meredith is from Chicago. I don't know. Seth has a new job. It's in Chicago, although somebody said it was California. Whatever. Is it possible she appears? We know they love her. She was the matriarch. We're going to see her as the matriarch in Next Generation New York City. Okay. She's from Chicago. Why are these girls eating her caviar? One of the girls was like, thank you to my good friend, Meredith Marks, tagged her.
Yeah.
Why are you eating Meredith's caviar? I don't want to be a bitch here, but I will be. Meredith is not exactly like the queen of Bravo. So why would they kiss Meredith's ass if there wasn't some connection?
I go back and forth on this one because if Chicago is doing, and they haven't been picked up by Bravo, maybe the whole idea is to show Bravo connections. If I'm playing devil's advocate. Here is another thing that I think about is if you're Meredith, I think it would be really hard to leave such a popular franchise. So Salt Lake City is the darling of Bravo right now, to then bet on an unknown show, which is the new show. But we are hearing that filming for season 6 on Salt Lake City hasn't been going so well for Meredith. Maybe because Meredith knows that she's heavily featured on Next Gen NYC, as you said, and because we're hearing that's going to be Bravo's next big franchise, maybe she feels like the gamble could be worth it because she's seen the end of her days maybe for Salt Lake City. I will say, I actually would like to see a little more of Meredith in her actual hometown because she always seemed a little bit like a kind of a fish out of water in Salt Lake City, because that's really where her family, Park City is, I think, where her family went to go ski. And yes, she had a business there, but it didn't seem like that she had long-seated roots there like a lot of the other women.
Where did her kids go to school? Chicago?
I think so.
And that's where
I don't know. Yeah, that's where they're all from. The whole family. Yeah.
There's I think it's like Secrets of New York, or a very popular Instagram account, and they ask people on the street, how do you identify who's a real New Yorker? And one of the people said, whether you or your children attended school in Manhattan or a borough, that makes you a real New Yorker. I would go so far as to say public school, but even if you went to private or Catholic, that makes you a real New Yorker. If you or your child, so if you moved
I would
here
agree
to
with
Ireland,
that.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, again, to go back to RHONY as an example, a lot of their kids went to the same private school. The connection is deep when you raise your kids somewhere. The Nates I have do seem younger than
they do.
Than Meredith, but if Meredith knows their aunts and is friends with them, like that could work. Like I'm at the tail end of elementary school with my kids, and it's funny now because I see the pre-K moms coming in, and some of them are like little girls I babysat for, right? No, I'm serious, because their kid is just turning 5, and my oldest is a lot older than that. So it's like I'm leaving, they're coming in, but we still get our nails done at the same place and go to the same spots with our girlfriends for dinner. So I may not be going with them, but I certainly see them. Like, you still
school fundraiser parties, you're at the same parties, at charity events, you're at the same parties. Like, that all makes perfect sense to me. I don't feel like the age thing would be a big negative in Meredith's case, especially
Miami is another good example of those women have real hometown connections and their ages vary. And it's based on not only their kids, but also like different jobs they've had and where they hang out and like their social circle. So the age in and of itself doesn't. But I do think, I don't know, I think that we may have created this whole thing to be fair, I created both of these theories completely out of thin air.
And I thought about Brynn yesterday, texted you about that. And then we have heard it could just be as simple as Dorinda making a cameo on Ladies of London, which we're hearing happened.
But we know how hard it was for RHONY to grab the audience because they didn't have that glue. And it's almost like the ship has sailed. You're not going to third season bring in Luann. So maybe they're like, you know what? We can like cameo friend of... especially somebody like Dolores, who you want to keep in the Bravo family and you want to, quote unquote, see her eat.
Yeah.
And Dolores could come to my family function and she would fit in. It's a cultural thing.
Well, Dolores, you would be very welcome at any of our family functions as well.
So I wouldn't
let anybody else talk to her.
I'm sure that MJ I would have a million questions. Me too. I'm sure that MJ or Reza could go to a holiday at any Persian's house in America and fit in within a minute.
Yeah.
Like there's cultural aspects to things.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was another email that we've been taking another look at that we had shared before. So I wanted to read that. Do you notice how Bravo is putting more shows on pause than ever? They have begun to realize that shows that have been on for so long may be better to just end than start with new cities instead. Between Rhode Island, Toronto, Seattle, which Seattle is another one we've heard quite a bit about, filming Housewife pilots, and other cities being casted in the next few years, we could see some cities be gone forever because fans seem to like fresh new cities better than the show they love for so long be rebooted. My commentary, just in response to this email, and we've had this conversation before, is yes, we have noticed this, and I think this make us miss you tactic makes sense from Bravo's standpoint in terms of keeping salaries down. Although I think there are certain shows that just don't seem to go on pause, like Beverly Hills. So, yeah. I also wonder if Bravo does research to see how many shows fans will actually all watch if they're all airing at once. Because it seems like more than about 4 all airing at the same time might be too much. And so maybe Bravo is very carefully planning and strategizing their pipeline.
That totally makes sense. There's only so much time in a day.
We would have to have another podcast, another like 2 a week to keep up with that many. With more than about 4, it would be too much, I think, for us to keep up with without doing another show.
100%.
Keep that in mind, Bravo.
Yes, please. Don't make our lives harder. No, I'm kidding. I think things have to change, right?
Yeah.
You can't go with the same formula forever. At sitcoms, Friends had to end. Seinfeld had to end. Like everything. And the hard part is getting the magic back.
Yeah. And I think there's some nice fluidity now that Bravo and Peacock have to play with, having shows like Traitors and Love Hotel where
to see who they
get to seeing the people that we love. Yeah. Just maybe not on a Housewives show, which is how we first met them.
And we also see Bravo using those shows as taking people's temperatures on who we want back. So far, we got Tamara back through Traitors. We got Phaedra back through Traitors. So I think that is certainly a place that, number one, everybody on Bravo wants Traitors. It's great money. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of notoriety. You don't have to be so prepared, have a storyline. You walk in and your storyline is that you're a traitor or a faithful.
Right.
And it gives you goodwill amongst your fans. So, yeah, I mean, it's I would think that's the best platform. I think Love Hotel is so damn good. It's so easy, and I think the casting is great.
I agree.
I didn't, on the surface, I was like, these four together, and somehow it works.
I listened to Luann. We talked a little bit about this, but I listened to her talking about Love Hotel too. And I really liked what she said, which is that the way that the four looked at it is that they are going to use their time to help the other women out too. So when I think it was Luann who decided to bring Ralph on a date, I don't think she's interested in him. I think she's checking him out for Shannon or for somebody else. Anyway, but that's what she said. We would get them out and get them talking so that we could understand from our perspective and then report back to the housewife who was interested in that guy, which I love.
I loved it.
You gotta love a sisterhood.
Gotta love a sisterhood. Even though Luann in the sisterhood is ironic, because if she likes the guy, she will take him.
I mean, she looks, I don't know. I just can't get over how fantastic she looks.
Speaking of Luann, in one of the podcasts, and I didn't hear this, but some of you guys messaged me, she said that Tom D'Agostino, was a billionaire. And I was like, he must have been wealthy, because why else did everyone want him? It certainly wasn't his face or his height or his personality. But I don't think he was a billionaire. He must have been like multi.
Luann would know. Maybe she was exaggerating.
I think the woman he married, I don't know if she was a billionaire, but she was even wealthier than him.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Right.
Because Tom didn't seem to really work very much. So that would be added security for him.
So Wife Swap.
Yes, let's talk about Wife Swap.
So I was told that, and I knew that it was Melissa filming something in the summer, but I was told, make a vague blind that somebody's filming something in the summer. That's sometimes how I have to roll things out. So then when I heard that Melissa and Joe were filming something in the summer, like firm, and I was allowed to post that, they said it was Wife Swap. And I was initially confused. I'm like, I didn't know what it would look like. And then, as you guys know, we got an anonymous email, and this cast has not been announced yet. So what we were told is that Wendy from Potomac, Angie from Salt Lake City, Emily from OC, and Melissa and Joe from Jersey are going to be on Wife Swap, and it's going to be them swapping with normal couples.
I love it. I liked watching Wife Swap back in the day because they would obviously always pick two very polar opposite. You've got the fast food family, and then you have the like all we grow everything vegan whatever family, and they would swap those wives. And of course, they always learn from each other and all of that. So I do think that'll be really fun because I think it'll be a little bit more of a how are these fancy housewives going to deal with having to like change diapers again and cook meals, and maybe if they don't cook as much or that kind of stuff. So I think that angle will be really fun. And then the last four shows,
a Love Hotel Traders bucket. There's less of a commitment. I don't know, in my mind.
Yeah. I don't feel like I have to, with that show, I don't think I'm going to feel like I have to be caught up every week. Then I'll sit down and watch a few hours of it at a time.
100%. It's like, it's raining today. I have a couple hours to kill. Let's watch Wife Swap.
Yes. Because then we get to see, I like all of those housewives. So I think that'll be fun. Then the fourth show is the Valley Shaw style, or I forget what they're calling it, but it's essentially the Shaw's reboot with Gigi, MJ, and Reza. Or is it called Shaws of the Valley?
That's just a working title, and everyone was very disturbed by it. But I guess they want to figure out, and this is one that we know has stopped and started basically since they went off the air. And a lot of that was because of Mike and like when his domestic violence stuff came out, although they always planned to keep him off the show, it just unfortunately screwed everybody. We also saw Nima, and I don't know if anyone remembers. Please DM me if you do. Nima, who I always liked, posted a picture of MJ, Gigi, and Reza, but put a clown face on Reza and was like, congrats, Gigi and MJ on show. And I know they had a beef, I think maybe Reza said something like, oh, he's not necessary for a reboot, like something like that. Which, like, and I liked Nima, but, like, I do get where Reza and MJ grew up together, and Gigi's a little bit younger, but was also, like, in the mix. Like, their families are friends. It's different.
Right.
And Mike was in that mix, too, but unfortunately, Mike's an animal. And apparently, shout out to Larry Bravo by Gaze. I'm blocked by Mike. Oh, yeah. The original Jax. But he posted something like, oh, yeah, congrats to my friends. Yeah, I'm busy living my life, but never say never. Dude, Bravo said never. Bravo said never.
All of us say never, Mike. All of us.
Yes.
Don't want to see you.
Never.
On the show.
So the Shaz reboots press release. I love the way these press releases are worded, which is why we're reading them all, okay? They share an unbreakable bond, one built on years of friendship, fiery clashes, and the kind of history that never fades. They also share a deep connection to their Persian culture, something that runs just as strong in the group of friends they now call family. As they take on the next stage of their life in the Valley, their world is bigger, their circle is bolder, and their challenges are more real than ever. As we'll see, their next chapter in life isn't quieter, it's just more complicated. So they're the three main. I don't have any other firm. I'm sure there'll be other people around. MJ and Gigi are now mothers. MJ's married. It'll be interesting to see. When MJ was on our pod last year, I think that Tommy and Reza still weren't speaking. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that so much time has passed that for the show, they'll be able to film together and hopefully water under the bridge.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah.
I'm really excited, especially for MJ, because just getting to know her a little bit when she came on our show, she's very real.
I think she just did a facelift too.
Oh, did she? Oh,
I'm pretty sure. And Amanda, so I don't know if you saw, I posted Jacqueline Larita, who now lives in the OC just by coincidence, and is friends with Lane Curtin, who's also was on the OC. They both, they got facelifts the same day by the same doctor, and they were posting together. And how many cocktailers messaged me and said, you and Amanda.
Definitely. Yes, I'm into it, which, by the way, completely off topic, but somebody I know just got a fat transfer, and they're like, you have to go to a surgeon to do it. They take fat out of a different part of your body and put it just a little around your lips. And I'm like, ooh, maybe I need to add that on to the facelift tab when we...
But what I heard about fat transfer to the breasts, because a friend of mine did it, it's not permanent.
Oh.
But then again, I guess filler isn't either.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, that'll be...
But like, do I want the fat from my ass on my mouth? I don't know.
I'm sure they could find somewhere else. There's lots of options on my body they can take it from.
True.
So another thing that I know people have been chatting about on Discord, but then I've even been texting with you, when you look at that press release and like all of that whole variety thing, because it talks about, okay, here's the new shows, here's the shows that have been ordered for another season, and then here are the shows that are currently airing. There were 2 shows, 3 really, that we did not see in the list. They didn't say anything about RHONY. They did not say anything about Jersey. And then while they said that Summer House, this latest season, was the most watched, they didn't say that they have ordered another season of Summer House in this article either.
Okay, so starting with New Jersey, a decision will be made by the end of the year. Listen, my guess, Rhode Island's going to be successful, hopefully, right? Hopefully we all love it.
Yeah.
If it is, that's just going to give them a longer period of time before they have to focus on New Jersey. I don't believe Jersey's ever going to be dead in the water, because I just think that the name, like Miami, like it had such popularity, but right now they don't have the ideal cast. We watched Melissa Gorga say, they have interviewed every single person in the state. So I don't think we're going to see it for a while. And I think the more successful Rhode Island is, the longer that while will be. So that's where we're at with Jersey.
Yeah.
Will we see any of those women again? Maybe not. RHONY. I'm still hearing their plan is to film in the fall. I hesitate with that because apparently casting is wrapping up. I've been hearing that for a long time.
We have.
And casting was supposed to be wrapped by April. We're second week of May, guys. Are we second week of May? We're beginning of the second week of May.
Yeah.
I think that Bravo sees value in those women. I think they're just trying to get it right. And sometimes you wait too long, the moment passes. So
here's what feels interesting sauce to me. The other day, I forgot whose account it was, but it was all the RHONY women except for Brynn, all on a sidewalk, hilariously laughing together, which felt posed to me, but the subtext to me read, "Hey, Bravo, we're still here. We're actually friends. We promise we'll bring the drama." I don't know. It just seems like a cry for help or a please hire us.
Okay. Sai's stories in general lately, she actually, thank you, shared one of my stories. People were like, where's her husband? And
yeah,
I screenshot it. I screenshot her response to somebody that basically said, I wear a small ring and you can't see it because I'm recording with that hand. And she reposted it and now she's doing all these stories, basically trying to engage with people and, oh, the trolls are out. And I'm hearing fall and seeing her post makes me think nothing is firm.
I agree.
Because when you know something's happening, you can smirk to yourself and keep it moving. When you want to be relevant or want people to think it's still happening, you have to show your ass a little more.
And if they all were getting together, and I feel like Bravo puts a gag order on them showing pictures like that of the whole cast together. They make them wait until it's actually the week of the episode. We see this all the time on so many of the shows. So that was the other thing that felt very suspicious to me about that picture. Because I'm like, if they were actually filming, I don't think Bravo would let them post that picture.
Oh, that's a good point.
Right? Yeah. Should we talk about the Valley? Because I know we have some good...
Oh, I just wanted to say about Summer House.
Oh, yeah.
First of all,
I
got some exclusive scoop in my DMs that I should be checking because it does distract me, but I can't help myself. So I'm looking at the pictures. I'm trying to figure out which one is the quote-unquote girlfriend. Oh, it must be the blonde one. Okay. This lovely young lady said, definitely block my face, but saw Ciara, Jesse, and his girlfriend at the Fontainebleau for one of the Formula One parties. Ciara, more gorgeous in person. Jesse's girlfriend definitely doesn't love when Bravo fans talk to him. Big time jealous vibes, as you can see from her hopping in the pics, when I really only wanted to talk to Ciara. So I asked all the questions. Who's the girlfriend? How do you know she's the girlfriend? I now realize which one's the girlfriend. But how do we know it's the girlfriend? I'm suspicious. We haven't.
Could it have been the girlfriend who sent in the pictures?
No. It's a follower who, we know. She's a cocktailer. She hangs. She's our people. All right, guys, stay tuned. That's all going to continue in Cocktail Party. But speaking of Summer House, I heard from somebody that there was something very surprising at the reunion. I don't know what that looks like. I feel like we're getting a Summer House this summer. Our Summer House intel always happens very close to July 4th.
It does.
Every year, and it changes. And so it has super high ratings. They're not just going to not do it. And the next gen New York City, I know we all want a spinoff in the city with Summer House crew, but are they going to film two of the same shows? One where the kids are 10 years older? I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know what we're looking at. Oh my God, I just thought of something.
Oh.
I just thought of something. Picture it. The girls have a house because Paige is over the partying. Ciara is not a partier. Lindsay's got the baby. And they do their cute little house and the boys do their cute little house, and they show them like meet up, but like there's separate stuff.
I could
Immediately
see that.
Or
I think I could see that. I thought you were gonna say some sort of crossover with Next Gen NYC and Summer House, which would make sense too. Too far in age, too far in like stage of life, maybe.
You know what it is? You know how if you're 37, hanging out with a 50-year-old isn't far, but if you're 26, hanging out with a 36-year-old is far?
Yeah.
Unless you're 27 and got married and had a baby. Like, otherwise, it just doesn't vibe. Those kids are all out of college a couple years. Yeah.
Yeah. I always laugh about when I graduated from college and was out working in the professional world for the first time. People who seemed 27 seemed so old.
And they thought of themselves as the same age as you. And it was like, and then when you were the 27-year-old, you were like, oh, now I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, Next Gen is Nepo babies, not only because they're housewives' kids, but they're also like wealthy people's kids.
Right.
So the Summer House crew isn't that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do the Valley on Cocktail because I want to know your thoughts on something. We also have to discuss Jesse and Lexi and all that, but we did that last week. I want to know your thoughts on Kyle's shock and Amanda's revelation that she doesn't know if she wants to have kids.
I think that Kyle is a very selfish person and I don't mean this, I'm not like just ragging on Kyle. I think Kyle has acted selfishly very many times with all of the partying, all of the staying out late, things like that. And I think he was legit surprised that his actions have possibly had an outcome on Amanda, that Amanda has taken that in and said, maybe I'm not ready, because I think subconsciously, I think subconsciously Amanda does not
want to be stuck holding the bag
and doesn't want to have, like multiple babies, including Kyle, to take care of. I think Kyle legitimately was shocked with that, because he even said it. Like, that it never had occurred to him that he would finally be ready and Amanda wouldn't.
I have another little thinking. I feel like Amanda said it because it's how she was feeling, and she goes back and forth. And I think she's feeling that way for all the reasons you said. But I also think that she is at a point where she's, you know what? You're not itching and begging me for a baby. And I think where she's at is, if he wants a baby so bad, then let him come. Let him start getting the itch. Let him be like, I want to have a baby. I want to have a baby. So then I could say, okay, so if we're going to do this, then there's no more DJ at night and all this. Or if there is, it's one a month. Like, setting boundaries around what our lives will look like. Then let's get the house in the suburbs. Then let's do all of these things so that I don't feel like we can't have kids because of all of those things.
Yeah.
Because she's been pretty clear about the sort of life she wants to have as a mother. There are people like Erin Leachy who can have a gaggle of kids and want to raise them in Manhattan. That's not Amanda.
That's not for the faint of heart, right? Things are that much harder if you're in Manhattan and you're trying to raise kids. It's not like you're just able to just hop in the car and drive wherever you want like you can in the suburbs. So I understand it.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely understand it. As somebody who lives like in an in-between, I couldn't do Manhattan. First of all, it's so expensive. Everything is so much more expensive. And it's a stress. You got to get kids on the subway or in an Uber. You remember when your babies were little, you don't put them in a car without a properly installed car seat. Like it's all those things. Yeah. And I have friends and family who raise kids in Manhattan, and I always was like, wow.
Yeah, and that they're very dedicated to that, and you have to be, because it is so expensive.
It's a lifestyle, and
it just makes it so much harder.
Yeah, it has to be a lifestyle that you like. Commit to. You're committing when you have kids, but I just found it like surprising. I don't know if I was surprised by her saying it or I was surprised by his reaction, but I was like, and I think that she is in a happy place, and she says, where she's like, and if he doesn't itch and beg, then we've made the decision together that we're not going to have kids because I'm not going to. It's almost like I take it like she loves him so much that she's willing to give him this life that he wants, but she's not willing to then burden herself with having to have all additional responsibilities that she feels she'll be doing most of the work for. And then it comes to the decision to have children is something that people have to be on the same page about because there's no backsies at a certain point.
No. And it's way harder. I actually was just texting a friend about this last night because I really do feel like every point in parenting is hard for different reasons. But even I have a kid who's about to go into high school, right? So teenager, and just the schedule, like you and I have been talking during the month of May, it is truly mayhem. I really don't think that 10 years ago, if you had told me that this was what parenting is like at this stage in my life, I don't think I would have thought I would be able to do it.
Right.
Because it is so completely, it's just so different and hard in completely different ways. And so you've got to really be prepared for that, for all of the hard. And it doesn't seem like Kyle is doing any of the legwork to show Amanda that he can be there for the hard.
That is it. And I think that she loves him so much that she doesn't want to resent him for it. So my thinking is she feels this way right now, but if she's always wanted kids prior to this, if they truly make that choice, then there's no backsies, and then she may resent him. Like in the short term, it's okay. But again, what do I say, Amanda? Freeze those eggs.
And they have friends that have kids at this point, too. And I'm sure that they see that. And just like I said, I think a week or two ago, there's nobody, if your partner is out DJing until 5 a.m., there is nobody there to help you. If your child wakes up with a fever, you need to decide if they need to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
These are all things that happen as parents. It's very normal stuff. For some reason, kids always get sick at night.
Yeah.
And if you have a husband or a partner who is out DJing every night and can't be, or partying every night and can't be counted on, that's something you got to think about really hard.
Yeah. It does not seem appealing as somebody who lived it with little kids. It would
with little kids.
It would not be appealing to me to be the only one on first base.
Completely agree.
We love you guys. So much tea continues to roll in.
Oh, it's the best week.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Till next time.
What's up, cocktailers? We want to thank you, as always, for listening to Cocktails and Gossip. Because of you, we've hit some amazing milestones, had some hilarious conversations, and have grown a truly amazing community. If you haven't already followed our podcast, hit the follow button in the top right of your Apple Podcast player, the follow button under the show logo on Spotify, or the subscribe button on Google Podcasts. We thrive on you, our audience. So make sure to tell all your gossip-loving friends about us too. And if you want to get all the tea, join our membership cocktail party by going to bravoandcocktails.com/join. Our members get access to the exclusive tea we post, the weekly podcast without ads, plus another additional bonus podcast every week. And of course, members also get to join us on our monthly live cocktail party Zoom, where we talk about the latest tea and even share tea that's just too hot to put in writing. Last, but maybe best, our members get access to the Cocktail Party Discord, where you can chat with Amanda, me, and all of the other cocktailers as well. There are always some great convos and hilarious comments happening in Discord. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you.